The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Now after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, "Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him." When Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And assembling all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. They told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it is written by the prophet, 'And you, O Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel.' Then Herod summoned the wise men secretly and ascertained from them what time the star had appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, 'Go and search diligently for the child. And when you have found him, bring me word that I too may come and worship him.' After listening to the king, they went on their way. And behold, a star that had been seen when it rose went before them, until it came to rest over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced exceedingly with great joy. And going into the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother. And they fell down and worshipped him. Then opening their treasures, they offered him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. And being warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed to their own country by another way. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
It's always in the news that there is a terrible war between Ukraine and Russia. And it was shown just yesterday and the day before. There is Christmas in the Russian Orthodox Church, as well as in the Greek Orthodox Church. The feast of Christmas is today, which is for us the feast of the Epiphany of the Lord. Now, the entire division of the Orthodox churches in the eastern part of the world, that Russia, Ukraine, and what was formerly the Soviet Union, and the Roman Church goes back to about almost 10 centuries. When they broke away from the Roman Church, of course, there was a schism and there were discussions, but the breakaway was permanent for the last 10 centuries. The very feast that we celebrate today, my dear friends, is quite the opposite of what the churches have developed. Why? Because the feast of Christmas was on the 25th of December. But then when the Orthodox churches broke away, they wanted to go their own way. Why? The human problem of we will do what we want to do. We don't want to do what they are doing. So then the problem of the division is because we as human beings cannot become one. Oneness is an impossibility for all humankind. You take a family, 2 brothers, 2 sisters, they cannot continue their closeness over a period of time. You take 2 friends or 3 friends, races, families, communities, even countries. We just do not have the capacity to be one. The union the oneness, the closeness of human relationship is the main focus of the feast today. The Greek word Epiphania means to be intensely revealing oneself, referring to God. God reveals himself intensely in different ways to people. That is why the Feast of the Three Kings, which is recorded in the Gospel of Matthew, which we have just listened to today, was explained to the people at that time by Matthew, because when Matthew wrote his Gospel, there were the Jews and the Gentiles. The Jews, they believed in Jesus Christ, but would not have anything to do with the Gentiles. The Gentiles, they received the baptism, they became part of the church, one community, but hated the Jews. So now, what Matthew wanted was to tell them, God's revelation is for all of us. No matter what race you belong to, no matter what community and the color that you have as an individual or your culture, your tradition, but finding God is to find oneness in humankind. If you don't find that oneness, we have lost the wood for the trees, as the English saying goes. We can be part of a religion for centuries. We can be part of a culture of religiosity for a lifetime. But if that is still within me, then it is an indication that I'm yet to find God who revealed himself through his Son. The first reading, my dear friends, taken from the book of prophet Isaiah, goes back to about 700 years before the time of Christ. And even Isaiah, the prophet, saw this problem. The Jews did not want to be one with the others. So they were a nation that was inferior. They were people who didn't have a majority. They were not powerful. As against the others, they always saw them as enemies. So it was impossible for anyone to say, your brother and your sister is your own. He or she may have a different culture, different color of skin. It is part of our human life. But finding God in your brother, in your sister, overcoming the barriers of race, caste, and religion is the key to find the depth of inner spirituality. My dear friends, I've been a priest now for the last 32 years. In Sri Lanka, if you work with people, the Sinhalese would always have this problem. You know, the Tamils, they're not good. If they have a Tamil service, why don't you remove that? Why don't you reduce the number of prayers? Why don't you even have a Tamil service? So the Sinhalese would say. And the Tamils, you give them an opportunity to have liturgy. So then I've had this experience where in one parish where I was those days, and there were children who spoke Tamil, read in Tamil, and someone or a few people came and complained, Father, their Tamil is not right. So I don't understand Tamil myself. So I said, what do you mean? No, they don't know the real Tamil. What do you mean? Jaffna Tamil is the real Tamil. Colombo Tamil is not good Tamil. Father, you don't understand. So let's go to Jaffna Tamil children, not Colombo Tamil. So my answer was, all of you speak Tamil. I don't see anything different. You don't understand. That's in our country. I worked in US for 10 years in 3 parishes. So we have the white Caucasian men and women, very good religious people. They come for Mass every Sunday. Extraordinary good Catholics as we see them. So then among the white people, there were the French Americans in one parish and the German Americans. So the German Americans would say, Father, you don't have to encourage all these crowd. I didn't even understand. What do you mean? If they are blacks, you can understand, but they're whites. No, but then you don't understand, Father. We have the better tradition. We are the people. So the German Catholics, German Americans do not like the French Americans. The French Americans would not like the German Americans. So then in another parish, there was the Puerto Ricans and the Spanish-speaking people who came from Mexico. So when you work together with them, the Puerto Ricans would say, they are not good. The Mexican Americans would say, they only speak, they don't have much depth to them. So wherever you go, as human beings, we always have to condemn somebody. Someone is not good. Someone is not having the tradition. It's universal, my dear friends. In our part of the world, it's kind of raw. But there, it is very subtle. When they don't like you, they won't tell it to your face. But in subtle ways, it's communicated. This universal problem was there, my dear friends, from the beginning of the history of salvation. That's what Isaiah was talking about, a light. And in the second reading, Paul, writing to the Ephesian community, also was addressing this problem in a very subtle way, saying, get over it. Get over your problem. But unfortunately, over the centuries of Christianity, we still have not overcome it. The answer to the question, my dear friends, is, as those scholars who study the comparative religions, they say, the problem of this world is there is so much of popular religiosity as against authentic religiosity. Popular religiosity is always about, we build a church and it is a singular speaking community, a singular parish, or a Tamil parish, or Jaffna Tamil parish, or Colombo Jaffna parish, or we have a French American parish, German American parish. It's again about my little world, my own community, our culture, our tradition, our minority, or our majority. Why is it that we are not able to overcome it, my dear friends? The more we get carried away with popular religiosity without authentic search for meaning in our spiritual life, my dear friends, these problems will always be there. The answer is that it's found in the gospel today, my dear friends, as Matthew communicated to the people at that time. There were the three kings who came from the eastern part of the world. And that is why the Orthodox churches have taken this day as the feast of Christmas, because that's the day the three kings from the eastern world were revealed, the Son of God. Now, these three men were people who were in a search, asking questions, trying to study sciences that were open at that time, and be a person who is seeking the meaning for oneself, meaning of this world, the meaning of the entire universe, and through a search, find the revelations of God. How do we become seekers, my dear friends? It is by always asking questions. Today in the world, I always find that parents of teenagers, young men and women, they all ask questions. Why is it? Where is God? Where is heaven? Where is the kingdom of God? Questions are asked. Even I, as a young boy, asked questions. And my mother would always defend the teachings of the church. And when she is not able to answer my questions, she would say, "Shut up." That was the answer I got from my father, from my mother, basically, my late mother. I still remember she would not know how to answer and would say, "Shut up." In our life, my dear friends, when your child, your boy or your girl or your teenage son or whoever, when they ask questions, be happy about it. You know why? In the 21st century, in the 22nd century, the future, religion will not be popular among people if you do not have people who ask questions, who are seekers, who are trying to find what is this entire thing called religion? Who is God? Where is heaven? And be in a search, be a seeker like the three kings, and studied sciences and found God's presence in and through. They are searching, in their seeking. The three kings were people, my dear friends. With the little knowledge they had of the Messiah, the story of the Messiah, they studied, or they were seeking the signs of the universe, as it were. Read books, whatever the sciences that were available, they were in a search. In searching and in seeking, they found their God. I always say, my dear friends, today in the 21st century and the time ahead, the best way for people to find God, the best way for people to make sense of Christianity is only to study deeply the sciences that are available today. If you study any scientific research today, my dear friends, it's amazing how more than 51% of scientists who are studying cosmology are people who believe in God. And in many sciences like epistemology, which is a philosophical science, and also genetics. In fact, there is a great scientist in the United States, Francis Collins, who led the team for studying the genetic code. And he was the one who was leading that team of scientists. He was formerly an atheist. In his scientific study, now he says that because of my study into the genetic code, I now know there is a God whom I cannot explain. And there is another neurologist who was, again, a former atheist, did not believe in God, did not make sense of any religion. And he went through an experience of near death. He died almost, came out, and now he's one of the world-famous speakers about his faith in God because of his experience, a neurologist in the world. I can name so many people who have come to know God in a much more deeper sense, in a deeper way, by becoming seekers, by people who want to know what is really there, not at the surface level, but at a deeper level. The three kings, my dear friends, in that sense, tell all of us, we can choose to be part of the popular religiosity, come to church, take part in whatever that is there. For some of us, it is the way. But remember, if you are a seeker, in your seeking, you will always find your Creator. And in your searching, in your study, in your reflection, in your philosophizing, in your study of sciences, if you go deep into it, deep enough, you'll always find your truth. That is finding God. Teilhard de Chardin, a French Jesuit priest who was a paleontologist, somebody who studied soil. And he says, in the depth of paleontology, which is the study of soil, he says, if only you go deep into it, scientifically, he says, you find the presence of God in this science. Can you ever imagine? He was a man of philosophy and theology, but he says, the greatest revelation of God came to me because of my study of this science. In our popular religious life also, my dear friends, God reveals himself to us in so many different ways. You don't have to be scientists in that sense. But also, it is important to experience those moments of revelation, epiphanies of people's lives. And that happens when even in your popular religiosity, you become a seeker. Now, I have been in this parish for the last 4.5 years. There are so many Buddhists who come to this church on Tuesdays. They have no idea of God, no sense of Christianity. People who just come only because someone has said, you go to St. Anthony, offer a candle, and pray for your intention. I have had so many men and women whom I have no idea where they come from, where they live, but they come and tell me, you know, Father, I was never a believer, but I intensely prayed and prayed and prayed, and I know your God is a real God. Just about 2 weeks ago, a lady who is working in one of these offices around, and they have applied, the whole family has applied for visa to migrate to another country, rejected. They applied again, rejected. Applied again, 3 times, rejected. And they came to this church. I didn't even know that they were coming. And this man and woman, they told me, we applied it on a Tuesday, believing that if it is going to be right, St. Anthony will prove to us that it will be. So they said, on a Tuesday, we applied. On a Tuesday, we got the medical tests. On a Tuesday, we had the interview. On a Tuesday, the second interview. On a Tuesday, the visa was issued. On a Tuesday, we had to go and register ourselves in that Western country. And they said, we know now, Father, your God is true. Popular religiosity again, but seeking and seeking and searching. You don't have to be a person who is studying science. You can simply pray and pray and pray and search. God reveals himself to you.